everybody. Welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. I'm Matt Connarton. To my right is the Honorable Gary S. Hopper, who is making strange noises while he cleans his glasses.
I forgot my hand grenade.
Oh, you did forget your hand grenade.
What's going to go? I don't know. That's not a good omen.
Well,
if you believed in omens, I mean. If I were to believe in omens, that would be a bad omen.
Right.
Right, getting off on the wrong foot. But at least you get to keep your feet.
That's true.
Yeah, it's good when you get to keep your feet.
Glass half full. And you managed to get here with your dirty glass. You look like a bug or something.
No, this is the new...
Is that the new fashion?
Yeah, this is it.
That the new style?
Statement. Must be a new fashion statement,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
Everybody who sees the show is going to start wearing those.
Oh, I would think so.
Yeah.
Who wouldn't wear them?
I mean, not yours specifically. They'll
Right,
get
that would
their
be
own,
stupid.
but-
These are prescription.
Yeah. Wow.
So... Kurt!
How you
Kurt
doing?
Wuelper.
Wuelper, yes.
Wuelper.
Thank you.
Why did I always think it was What'd I say?
Welper,
It's just
Wepler, potato,
It's
potato.
just, yeah.
They both have vowels and consonants.
It's got all the right letters in it.
Yeah.
There you go.
So good.
Are
Good.
you
I got-
dyslexic?
No, I'm trilexic.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Just got to keep an open mind.
You do. So our guest is Kurt. I'll just stay with Kurt. That way I'm safe.
All right. Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And
When did he ever want to be safe?
Him?
Yeah.
Well, considering he drove here with dirty glasses, I don't
know.
think he's that concerned with.
oh yeah, I
safety.
couldn't see anything. I was like backing up down 93 and stuff. I didn't know what you're gonna keep laughing at my glasses.
No, we'll be over it soon.
Yeah, I mean, they are funny though.
They are really stupid looking, but they're actually my motorcycle glasses because they got the cushion around the outside.
Yeah.
So that there's not like bugs and crap getting in there. It keeps the wind out of your eyeballs. But
So do they, when you're wearing those with your motorcycle jacket, do they actually look cool under that circumstance?
what are you saying? They don't look cool now?
No, I'm just,
difference?
I know.
Matt.
I'm just like, do they look cooler is what I meant.
That's what you. Yeah.
I just left off a syllable.
Oh, all right. All right. So anyway, today in the New Hampshire legislature,
You had a busy day.
we had very busy day doing important things like we had a bill in the New Hampshire legislature to make it illegal to discriminate. Well, we did marijuana today, so there's a lot of samples and Twinkies, and it was pretty bad.
Nice. I got to run for
Oh
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, it was pretty good. Woo! Anyway, we had a bill in today to make it illegal to discriminate against people who are unemployed.
Well, I don't think. Is that even politically correct? Don't you mean unemployed American?
Not necessarily.
They can call each other unemployed.
They don't
but-
necessarily have to be American.
Oh, good point.
I think you're being the one who's a little bit discriminating.
I think so.
You should be ashamed of yourself. You're going to probably have to write an apology to somebody somewhere.
I am. I'm going to hold a press conference. And
You should have yes. You should always have a press conference every time you apologize for something.
Yes.
That's the way to do it nowadays.
Yes. That way you get credit for being
You get
sorry.
credit for feeling sorry, and if you can get that, make it look guilty. Like, wow. So anyway, the House passed this bill, and what it is purported to help. I guess there's somebody who had a sign up. I don't think it was New Hampshire, that said unemployed need not apply.
Then we obviously weren't looking for help.
Well,
Yeah.
there is a certain stigma that goes along with
Yeah.
what do you do? I'm unemployed, and then things like that.
Yeah. It's easier to get a job if you already have a job.
Yeah,
That's
everybody
right.
knows
Statistics
that.
have shown
So that's true, but and I understand the emotion behind the bill, but logically, it is wanting. I mean, how do you prove? If somebody comes in and they apply for a job that that people don't think they're qualified, and they say, no, you can't have it, and they give it to somebody else who happened to have been employed, does that person now have a reason for a lawsuit?
Yeah, it's definitely inviting some frivolous lawsuits.
Oh, yeah, and there's a lot of...
Well, the next thing would be a disparate impact. So you hired 15 people last year. None of them were unemployed when you hired them, see? So you're
therefore...
obviously discriminating against the unemployed.
Right,
Yeah.
so the state has to step in and Yeah, exactly. So, in other words, I understand the feeling behind it, but the logic behind it is a little bit on the
So what happened with
questionable
that?
side. It passed the House.
It did pass.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So Republicans voted for it too, or just
No.
it was all Democrats?
I hope so, or else somebody's going to get shot for that one.
Right.
I mean, there are limits.
You have glasses, Gary.
Yeah, but doesn't work for close up.
Oh,
Yeah.
the prescription, but not for where I need them.
Yeah.
So try mine.
Yeah, I didn't write down what the numbers were, but pretty much it passed along party lines. Relative to the licensure of... Oh, that was another one.
Oh.
I had to learn a word today.
Yeah.
Yes.
Learning is fun.
Yes. Relative to the licensure of polysomnographer. See,
Poly-
Let me try. Let me help you out.
make sure. Yeah, right here.
Polysomnograph.
Executive departments and
Somnographers.
somnographer.
Yeah,
Polysomnographer.
I think that's people that take sleep pictures of you when you're sleeping.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's
yes.
it. They want to license them.
Some people do that. It's a fetish.
No, it's
No.
this is a medical.
Yeah,
you
Matt.
have sleep apnea and
Matt.
Oh, I didn't know there was a
Matt,
purpose
no,
for
come
that.
on, Matt.
I just knew someone wanted to take pictures of me sleeping, and I kind of liked it, so I agreed. I didn't
No,
know
that's
there was
different. That's
Oh,
different.
sorry,
That's something-
that's okay.
That's for
Yeah,
YouTube
I mean, you heard
videos.
of sonograms. They do those on women when they're pregnant.
Oh,
Well,
right.
A somnograph is a graph of what's going on when you're sleeping.
Oh.
Right? And so I'm expecting that this is for people who have sleep apnea, things like that. They're going to have sleep studies. And so they graph all these things like how often do you breathe and hiccup and whatever.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Rapid eye movements. So that's what it is. These people now who have obviously been doing this quite long because they weren't licensed. Now they need to be licensed.
Oh, it's one of those deals. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah,
Can't have that anymore.
Right.
Yeah, you really need to license everything. Actually.
Yeah.
I forget. I can't read my writing to find out if that passed or not.
I worry about
could
that
help.
kind of thing because I'm a hypnotherapist.
Yeah.
And in New Hampshire, there's no licensing. I'm certified, but you don't have to get a license. But in some states, they're really tough on you about it, and you have to, they treat you as though you were a
Manicurist or something.
yeah, yeah, like that. I don't want that. I don't want to have to do nails.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I don't want to have to be licensed.
What would you call somebody who kept did your nails while you were sleeping? Then
A
Manisomnus something.
somnicurist.
Somnicurist. That would work.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
Yeah.
then we can license them.
Yeah.
Let's see. You guys are crazy. I don't know why I hang out with you people. Oh yeah, the
Birds of a feather.
Yeah.
yeah, right. Title loans. We got rid of title loans a couple of terms ago. Then the House under Bill O'Brien passed title loans, and now we're adjusting title loans. Title loans are you got a title to your car and you go in, you need $1,000, so.
It's a form of security for the loan.
Right, it's a form of security for the loan, which isn't bad. It's not a bad idea, but they charge 300% interest. And that can add up to a point where you can't pay it back very
It doesn't
quickly.
take very long, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
they're
and
hoping you can.
they-
It's
yeah, so-
predatory with a capital P.
Yeah. So anyway, I was going to vote to kill the bill itself was going to kill title loans, and I would have voted for that. But there was an amendment to say that yes, you can charge 300% interest for the first month, but after that it's 3%, not to exceed 36% per year, which I'm okay with that. So we passed that amendment, which aggravated a bunch of my Republican friends. You've hung around with people in the House for a long time. Right now, it's the conservative Republicans are more libertarian than they are conservative Republicans. So anything that they believe that if buyer beware,
If
no
you
matter
want to
what
charge
it is.
300% per year, that's fine.
That's up to
Yeah,
you.
they want
and-
a sort of a Wild West, anything goes approach to capitalism.
So if you want to make your beer out of cat urine, that's fine. I mean, if people don't find out, well, then
Hey, I think
Right.
there's something to that. The most expensive coffee in the world is made from feces of a cat.
Really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either until guy brought some in and I had to Google.
Called Puss in Boots.
No, this is actual truth. It's some cat that lives in Sumatra or something, and they actually gather up the cat dung and somehow filter the coffee through it. And this
Do they
is the most
smoke it too?
Maybe they do.
They could just add that to the pot bill, and they could smoke.
And you have coffee pots.
It's all kinds of possibilities.
There's a lot of possibilities. We could make some serious money with stuff we invent on the show.
Yeah. Well, you're the inventor.
I know. Well, actually, he invented that one. Did he invent it, or he just knows of it? I don't know if that's
right.
actually
I
inventing.
just know of it. I actually had to Google it. The most expensive coffee in the world. You can do it yourself, and you will find it.
I'll be damned.
So anyway, the adjustment to the payday loans did go through, and I'm glad for that. I believe that I believe that capitalism is the absolute best form of an economy, but I believe that capitalism without moral oversight is equally as tyrannical as a tyrannical government.
I agree. Oh, can I just, before you move on, a technical question? That's title loans, not payday loans?
Is it
or does it encompass both?
I voted on it, but that doesn't mean I know what I was voting on.
Because payday
Sometimes
loans...
you have to vote for it to find out what you voted for.
That's true, yeah. You have to pass it so you know what's in it.
Yeah, we had to pass it to...
Because payday loans are done, right? In New Hampshire, that was already dealt with, and this was separate?
I forget what we did on payday loans.
Because I remember... Because you previously...
I am horrible. Okay, I get home after the legislative session. My wife said, "What do you vote on today?"
Well, he comes here and
I don't know.
same thing, right?
Right.
No clue. No. Well, the thing is, the way my mind works is you get A, B, C, and done. Once they're done,
you're done.
boom.
Right.
You know, it's done.
Right.
I don't have to deal with that for the
wipe
rest.
the chalkboard, right?
Wipe the
Yeah.
chalkboard and move
Yeah.
on.
Yeah.
So that's the way my mind works. That's why it doesn't work that well sometimes. But anyway, let's see. Oh yeah, we didn't talk about marijuana yet.
Nope.
That was the big one. So at 4:20 this afternoon, wink, wink, nudge, nudge. You know what I mean? You know what I mean?
Say no more.
Say no more. What the heck is that from? Wink, wink, wink,
Monty
Python,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
I actually don't know what you mean because I'm stoned.
Oh yeah.
Just kidding.
Yeah. We wouldn't have it any other way, Matt. We don't do drug testing on this show, if people are wondering.
No. Well, if you were a
We're not
Democrat, you'd be drug testing.
Well, we're
me,
not
wouldn't you?
licensed, but we're not licensed.
Right.
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 I mean,
You'd have to be licensed.
Yeah, you
drug
gotta have
testers
license to
and-
drug test,
Yeah.
but not to sleep. Not if you're.
Oh, he's
What if you're on drugs if you're on asleep? Then it wouldn't have to be licensed, would you? Because we didn't pass the license. I don't know. Anyway,
It's a tangled web.
I know it is. So anyway, there was a vote to legalize marijuana.
Yep.
At 4:20 this afternoon, and it failed 170 to 168. Okay.
Done.
No.
Yes.
No.
Oh.
A parliamentary trick is after a bill has been voted on, a person who has voted in the affirmative or
the winning
voted
side.
on the winning side can make a motion to reconsider.
Right.
The idea is so that something happens, you say, wait, I get more information, I didn't know that, I want to reconsider my vote. What it's actually used for is a few different things, but I won't go into them. But so if they know a vote's going to be close, they'll have somebody that is willing to vote contrary to what they really believe, just so that they can, in the event that they lose, they can be on the winning side and vote for reconsideration.
Right.
So because it was a one-person vote, it's 170 to 168. That means one person has to change their vote for that to flip.
Would it be a tie?
No, it wouldn't.
169 to
No.
169.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah, two
Yes.
people would have
two
to.
people.
Yeah.
Okay, I get brain damage. So anyway, so they voted to reconsider, and the reconsideration vote was 170 to 168.
But they. Oh, okay.
Okay. So
Same vote as the other way.
Same vote, exactly the opposite way this time. And so, anyway, we went into an amendment, and fundamentally what the House passed today with a vote of 170 to 162, 6 people bailed out, was a bill that would, by July of next year, would allow people to start growing pot and/or if, I think start growing pot, and at the same time the state government has to start making a mechanism to start being able to sell and distribute, like how to tax it and everything else.
Yeah, and put little kiosks in the liquor stores and we'll be all set.
Exactly. Or might as well just do it right at the elementary schools. Why cut out the middleman?
Well, Gary, you're not a libertarian.
Oh, yeah.
The state lives on sin taxes anyway, on tobacco and alcohol, right?
Right.
The way we deal with alcohol is we sell it in liquor stores, right?
Yeah.
This is very much a similar thing. It's an intoxicant, right?
Yeah.
Sell it with the other intoxicants.
Why just not open up head shops?
That's what they will be, except
See,
they'll be at the liquor store.
That's what I'm worried about, because if this actually goes through, remember this just passed the House today.
Yeah.
If this goes through and is signed by the governor, it is going to destroy the Republican Party in New Hampshire.
Wow. Why?
Why?
Because all the libertarians... All the libertarians.
Therefore, vote Republican. I'm boned, so I can't think. So
No. Because all the libertarians are either going to be A, high, B, open up head shops. Either way, they're either going to forget the vote, forget to sign up to run for office.
See, I'm stoned. I can't vote Republican.
I need a Twinkie. Give me a Twinkie, please. So anyway. So
where is this?
That's a high enough percentage.
Senate, right?
That's a high enough percentage of the Republican Party, so that the Democrats would have an absolute control, almost a supermajority in the New Hampshire House.
Hassan's going to veto it, though,
so
right?
This,
she's already said,
legalizing marijuana
Didn't
is
she
going to.
say that? I thought I heard that.
Yeah, she said she'd veto it.
Yeah.
So that means it's not getting into law this year.
It doesn't matter. I have to deal with what's before me in the House. I cannot predict or presume.
I'm not arguing about your vote, Gary. That isn't what I'm saying.
I'm getting me agitated.
I'm talking to the people that are out there
like 4
who
hours.
might be all nervous that this is actually going to come into effect right away.
It's been since 4:20 since I had the brownies they gave me, and I'm just getting...
I was going to say, that would definitely calm you down.
Getting a little edgy.
Yeah,
getting a little edgy. It's been 2 hours.
To mellow out, man.
Right, yeah. I need more brownies quick.
Maybe somebody here has a bond or something.
Yeah, maybe. That's not legal. Oh, you know what's funny about that? The legalization in
Colorado?
In Colorado, it's still federally illegal to sell and buy pot.
Right.
So the banks won't take the money from all these people who are selling pot.
Oh, that's interesting. Really?
Right,
yeah,
because the bank gets nabbed for facilitating illegal activity.
Money laundering.
Money laundering.
Oh, wow.
Okay, so
I never would have thought of that.
So the banks don't take the money. So they were talking to this guy who owns one of these head shops, and he's got to take $50,000 to pay his taxes, and he's doing it. They use different cars at different times.
He's going to take cash.
Because they have to do it in cash.
Because you can't get checking accounts.
So there's a guy's driving with his Beamer with $50,000 worth of cash to go to pay his taxes.
That's interesting.
You've seen that on like a Mission Impossible, and you flip open the briefcase and it's full of dope. That's what he had.
Wow.
Except he probably used a grocery bag or something for concealment purposes.
Right,
yeah. I think the briefcase, somebody might
what happened with one of them, they screwed up and they disguised it in a, because they had all these boxes of Twinkies.
Yeah.
And they disguised it, and somebody stole the Twinkies. And because Twinkies are going for $175 a pop in Colorado right now. So it's
sure.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. It's
well, it's a win for Hostess.
Yes, the Hostess.
Hostess, it's gone.
Little Debbie. Little Debbie is
right?
like.
Oh, is that who bought him?
Little Debbie is doing. I don't know, but at least she's doing really good. Little Debbie is one hot little chick right now.
She's getting a lot bigger.
Oh yeah. So there you go. That's what happened at your state house today.
Wow.
And I was there. No, you were there. No, it was you were there.
I was not there today.
But that didn't Howie. No, what was the guy that used to say that? He used to end his program. He used to do a story, and you were there. Old radio thing, I think.
I have no clue.
Only the shadow knows.
Yes.
Oh, and
it's an old radio thing.
And
I could tie in.
Yeah.
And it's right up there with not quite as famous as the shadow knows. But I did find out today.
And that's the way it is.
Maybe that's what I'm thinking of.
Well, that was Cronkite, obviously. Yeah.
No, that's different then.
Yeah.
I did find out today that Bill Gardner actually watched one of our shows.
He did. Is that
Yes.
why he hasn't been on?
That's probably why he hasn't been on
Yeah,
it.
he said, well, I'm not being part of that. I got statues.
Yeah.
Anyway, Kurt, we got to.
Yes,
You're the president of New Hampshire Right to Life.
President of New Hampshire Right to Life. Amen, brother.
Amen. So what's going on? What month is this? A pro-life month? What is it called?
No, it's January.
Jan-
That's what it's called.
oh
Okay.
yeah.
So in January,
In January.
there is a day more or less so-called Sanctity of Human Life Day.
Oh, it's day. It's only one
which
day.
Is as far as
We
I
can't get a month out of
understand it,
this.
We should have it all the time, but no, it's not even an official like.
Right.
It's
Well,
not
yeah.
official,
Right.
However, if you deal with people that sell pro-life stuff, they send huge amounts of stuff for Sanctity of Human Life Day,
Right.
right? Which is I believe this Sunday.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So are we
I
doing
don't
any?
really know because it's actually I think a Catholic thing.
Oh.
Oh,
But
I
I've
hate
never
those.
really
I
been
hate those
involved in-
people anyway.
I've never
so-
really been involved in Sanctity of Human Life Day.
Do I?
Do you hate Catholics?
Do I?
I don't know
Are
if
they
you-
French?
A lot of French Catholics.
Yeah. So yeah.
Well,
I
we're
guess so.
Hispanic.
Oh, I don't care about that.
Yeah.
It's the French ones that scare me.
Right. Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, but that's Sanctity. But January 22nd, next Wednesday, is the 41st anniversary of Roe versus Wade,
Yes.
and will be the once again scene of the largest civil rights demonstration in our country, which would be the March for Life in Washington D.C.
How many people? Because they down. I know when I was there in 2009, I went with my son and my daughter-in-law to the Tea Party rally,
Okay.
and there was 500,000 people there, but national propaganda radio said 10 or 20,000, or
Well,
tens of thousands,
The
or something
National
like
Park
that.
Service used to estimate the crowds. When it was exposed that they were estimating the crowds at the March for Life were in the 10 to 15% of who was their area,
Right.
Really?
yes, they said, okay, from now on, we're not going to estimate crowds.
No kidding. Huh.
Yes, that's exactly what happened.
Okay.
Because what you're saying is absolutely correct, right? So, yes, I expect there'll be 500,000 people, or maybe 600,000. But isn't it something? I mean, you walk down Constitution Avenue, it's what, 8 lanes wide? And it's packed from wall to wall with people marching
Yeah.
from one end of it to the other. You figure out how many people are there.
Well, I know
Right.
when I was
I mean, it's just such an experience to be
Sure.
part of that and to realize the groundswell of public opinion in our country to support life. And it's there year after year after year. And it's there in Concord the same way. We expect to have, well, I can't say we expect to have. You never set expectations like that. So for the past couple of years, we've had over 450, 1 or 2 years over 500
that's a
people
lot for Concord.
marching in Concord on normally one of the coldest days of the year, right? Very often not nice weather at all, but it's either freezing cold or storming, so
Yeah.
yeah, year after year, because there's that many people that are so intense about this, as they should be. I mean, this is the sanctity of human life we're talking
Right.
about.
Now,
And
when are these demonstrations in Concord? So
The one in Concord, all right, so the first thing will be at 9 o'clock Saturday morning,
this Saturday.
this Saturday,
So this Saturday, 9 o'clock in the morning,
at the landfill in Concord.
at the landfill.
Yes, that's
Oh.
on Turnkey Road, Old Turnpike Road.
Oh, okay.
Right? And we'll
Yeah.
do a memorial service for the babies that were tossed there quite a few years ago, the aborted babies.
Right.
That'll take, half an hour,
Do they
45 minutes.
close the road off during this?
Oh, no. In
Oh, they
fact,
don't?
we can't even get into the driveway where they go in. We have to be very careful. The police are there to make sure every year that we are not in any way impeding the nobody who comes down there at that time in the morning.
Yeah, I was gonna say. I mean, I live in Concord. I know that area. It's not like you're gonna be bothering anybody.
No,
No.
but they're very, and
I'm surprised they don't close it off for the march.
there isn't any march. It's
Not
just
there.
a memorial service.
Oh, I understand. Okay.
So we actually have,
Okay, I
like
misunderstood.
a funeral,
Yeah.
we have a funeral, including a coffin
Yeah.
and a priest, a pastor,
Yeah.
and I'll say a few words and we'll hear a message and maybe sing a couple hymns.
Yeah.
we'll have a funeral for those, in memory of those that were tossed in that landfill and never recovered, and for whom the state chose not to seriously sanction the ones that did it.
See, I don't know this story. When was this?
I think that was
I'm actually not aware of this.
1987.
Okay.
I think. I have it on the history of it on that I read it
Yeah.
pretty much every year,
Okay.
but I forget the actual year. I think it was 1987, and it was discovered that aborted babies were being tossed in the landfill.
Is
And
that
they
from that
actually-
abortion clinic in Concord?
And they actually found 25, or documented 25 that had been tossed in there.
Okay. I didn't know about that. I never
And
heard
the
that.
fine for that was $5,000 per violation.
Okay.
But that wasn't what got fined. They actually got fined something like $15,000 or
Oh,
something.
really?
And that was the end of it,
Yeah.
right?
Huh.
So anyway,
That's not a criminal? Because they filed criminal charges against that guy on the seacoast, I think it was, that basically mishandled the deceased.
oh, that was for bodies of people,
Yes.
not babies.
So that's
Look, you gotta understand. I first of all, I can't technically answer your question,
okay.
right?
But isn't
I
it
wasn't involved in
isn't
it. I don't know what the laws were,
Yeah.
right? But what I'll tell you is this: that you know, and I know, which is why we march, that we treat the preborn as if they're not human beings.
right?
They don't have any of those inalienable rights that every human being has.
Right.
We declassify them as subhuman or non-human or some such thing as that.
Pre-people, pre-persons. They do not have
Right.
personhood.
So, and that's why, that's what we're fighting against. That's part of what we're fighting against.
Okay. So anyway, after
So
9
anyway,
o'clock.
So 9 o'clock, we're going to have the memorial service at the landfill. 10 o'clock, for those that are desirous and get in, there's a mass at St. John's.
Where's St. John's?
St. John's is on the south end of, it's on South Main Street.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
kind of
on
across
the-
from where the
on the
D'Angelo's and
West
everything
side
is.
of the street.
Yeah.
Is that the one next? Is that the Catholic one?
It's,
Yeah,
by,
it's
it's
Catholic
by the
one, right.
McDonald's, yeah.
Oh, across the street. Oh, yeah, across the street from say Dunkin' Donuts.
That's about right, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I used to go there when I was a kid.
They have a wicked. I'm Protestant, so I don't really do the Mary thing, but they have just a beautiful statue of Mary there. I
Yeah,
took a pic-
Catholics are really good at those statues and things.
Yes, but anyway,
Yeah.
so that's 10 o'clock.
So
they
that's
have-
10 o'clock, there's a mass at St. John's.
Yeah.
At around 11:30, we rally at the State House to get ready for the march at 12, more or less.
Okay.
And then at 12, we'll march down South Main Street, around the abortion mill, which is technically the end of the march. And most of the people, or as many as can, congregated at the St. John's Fellowship Hall,
Right.
where we have lunch and a program,
Okay.
which will go on until about 3 o'clock. And this year, we're giving away 200 copies of Dan Becker's book, Personhood, at that event.
Oh, really?
Really?
Now, this gentleman was at a informational legislative thing.
We did that, yeah.
Yeah,
That was part of the New Hampshire Right to Life. We did that. We brought Dan Becker up.
that was Dan Becker. Okay.
That was Dan Becker, yeah.
And the interesting thing was he quoted Peter Singer.
Peter Singer.
Is that correct? A professor.
Ethics chair at Princeton University.
Yeah, ethics
There's some
chair.
name for the chair that he holds, but
Right,
he's
right.
ethics chair at Princeton University.
He's also on the
Independent,
quote unquote death panel for Obamacare, right?
right, the Independent Payment Advisory Board.
Yes. And his argument is that we have to redefine what personhood is. And he believes that personhood is really at about 18 months.
This is the real battle that we have.
Oh, that's right. I remember you mentioning this on the show before, and I remember being very surprised
Very
by
surprised.
that.
Yeah.
By that
Right,
number.
so here's the deal, but because this is really very important.
Yeah.
We don't have any definition of person. Had we a definition of person, the Supreme Court never could have made Roe versus Wade a ruling,
That makes sense.
right? Because they could actually claim they didn't know when life began, and there's no definition of person, and so they made the decision that they made.
Mm-hmm.
We're at a place today with what they're doing in biomedicine, where they can cross a human with a chimp, or a mouse, or a cow or anything, right? Or jellyfish, like Dan showed us a slide of a baby an embryo that had been crossed with a jellyfish to get a glowing human embryo.
No kidding.
Yes, 98% human, 2 to 3% jellyfish.
Wow.
And they took the shiny part of the jellyfish, the glowing part, and put it into this developing baby. And he lived. After 14 days, they had to kill it. But it was glowing. They got pictures of it.
Wow. Huh.
Right? They could have raised. They could,
Yeah.
if it would have lived.
Right.
Which they only know it would have lived for. They did have it for 14 days. But if it would have grown up, you'd had your first glowing, not even glow in the dark, just glowing.
Yeah.
Right?
Wow.
But we don't have anything that stops any of that. Right? We don't. So the New Hampshire Constitution says all men have rights. The U.S. Constitution says no person shall be denied, or all persons have rights, or all men are created. But we don't have any difference in what it means to be a man or be a person. Right? So, with that door open, Singer says, well, if you have a baby, he used to say up to 8 days. But he's developed, grown in the office.
Wow.
Right? And now he says up to 18 months. And for whatever reason you don't like that baby, well, you have the parents. You have the right to kill that baby. And it's not like it's killing a person. His phrase, not like killing a person. A baby 18 months old.
Wow, it's bizarre.
Right?
See that? So for those viewers at home, that's what the whole pro-choice, pro-life movement. That's where the fight is.
That's
because if you believe that you are created by God, then the moment you're conceived, you are a person. You are in the process of developing, which fundamentally we all are. Even as old as I am, I'm still developing, but it's hopefully more spiritual or
We're falling apart.
Hopefully we're falling apart.
Right.
But it's still developing. It might be on the downside of that. But
where I am in the cycle of life.
Yeah.
But anyway, so if you defined a person as that point at which where you're conceived, then Roe versus Wade fails, because now that they have constitutional rights. Now, if you define as
in Roe versus Wade,
Peter Singer is correct, and personhood begins at 18 months, killing a 2-month-old baby is perfectly legal.
it's fine. No different than killing her.
Now, see, I take a completely different stance. Okay, I believe in personhood at the moment of conception. Okay. But between the ages of 17 and a half and 18...
He's got a troublesome daughter, son.
17 and a half and 18, they lose their personhood for 6 months.
Yeah.
Okay?
Then we get retribution for what they did.
At that point in time, you can take their life. And this does a lot of beneficial things. My way of doing it, first of all, killing an unborn child... That child could be a genius. Child could be the next Beethoven. You have no clue. But if you wait till the 17 and a half, you got a pretty good idea.
Oh, definitely. Well,
right?
even before that, really. But you do have to pick a.
You got to pick a date. So 17 and a half to 18. All right. So not only do you now have an idea of how well this kid may or may not do, but think of how obedient they will be all the way up until they're 18.
Well, that's a good point.
Think of how well they're going to do in school. When they say, I don't want to do my homework. Oop, only 2 months left, buddy.
Yeah, the pressure's on.
The
Better
pressure's
perform.
on.
Yeah.
So that might be an advantage, but how about if we took and said anybody over the age of 80 years old is a post person? They're no longer a person. If we can go on the one side and say up to 18 months, that's a non-person. Well, we can go on the other end. And we'd be way better off going on the other end. Look at all the money. Look at all the money we save. You want to make Obamacare work? This is pretty easy. Everybody over 75 is a non-person, deserves no medical care, has no rights.
Now has Professor Singer actually weighed in on that?
On the 75?
On the other end of the spectrum, or only the personhood of the?
I don't make it my business to read Peter Singer very much.
No, I just thought maybe you know of any.
I just depend on news reports of his latest and greatest thoughts.
Yes,
but it is amazing to think that they are actually having conventions and organizing movements for non-human persons.
Wait, explain that again. What do you mean a movement for non-human persons? Are we talking?
Well, let's suppose, for the sake of argument, that we could develop a machine that could stand up, just like I'm doing right now, and talk to you, and make arguments and discussions and all of this. Why wouldn't that be qualified as a person?
Yeah, what makes a person a person?
You see, so that's a non-human person. Let's suppose that I take a regular, normal human embryo, and I mix it 50-50, we'll say, with a gorilla. Why wouldn't that be a person?
Right.
Okay? So this is
Yeah.
this is out there, and that's why I say we really have to start doing some heavy lifting on the personhood end of it, which is why we have the Life Begins at Conception Act in the House right now.
Right.
Coming to your committee.
Oh,
Are you ready for that?
I am ready for that.
Okay, House Bill 1504. I don't know when the hearings are going to be.
I bet that will be very calm and peaceful, and it'll just sail through my committee.
Well, you know, there's no interest, so I'm pretty sure nobody will show up.
Probably be 2 people show up.
So, but there's so much of this, right? And we have focused, the people who are pro-life has focused on babies and abortion because we're still losing several million babies a year in our country to abortion, whether it's surgical abortion or chemical abortion. And this is huge. We shouldn't not focus on that. But we got to start paying some serious attention, doing some heavy work
Yeah, on the other end of the
on
spectrum.
the other end of the spectrum and actually getting to what is a person, right? But see, we're great. We're in the United States of America. We have the greatest document ever in the history of the world, next to the Bible, for this purpose. It's called the Declaration of Independence.
Right.
Just like you were saying, it says every person is endowed by their Creator with the inalienable right to life. So first of all, you're endowed by your Creator with this, not by the government, not by your parents, by your Creator, which for most everybody, Creator equates to God, right? And the right to life and others are inalienable. Inalienable means I don't have any right to take your or authority under any circumstances, right, to take that right away from you, nor does the government,
If it's inalienable,
nor do you.
Right, that's what I was going to say.
Nor do you. And when I first started thinking about that, it didn't make any sense to me. Nor do you. But do you know the laws in the state of New Hampshire, the laws, as far as I know, in every state of the United States reflect that belief that you don't have the right to take your own life. It's called suicide is illegal.
Right.
Right.
Which
Because
they're challenging in New Hampshire, too.
Yeah, they're doing that too. But that's because we have taught our children. I ran into this too as a teenager because I was
When you tried to commit suicide?
no,
Oh.
because I was no, it's not
Some
too.
do.
You're not too far
Yeah.
off, but it's as a little kid I was sick all the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, I don't. I remember one time I started on a new medication. There was like a few month period where I had no symptoms,
Mhm.
and I went to my pastor and I said, I was elated. I went to my pastor and I says, I looked around the church. I says, why isn't everybody ecstatic?
Yeah.
And he goes, what are you talking about? I said, I finally have a glimpse right now as to what it must be like to be healthy. I said they should be dancing.
Yeah,
There should
yeah.
be dancing and cheering, okay? But they don't because they don't understand it. So anyway, I was very ill as a child, in and out of the hospital, the whole 9 yards. And so when I got to be 17 or 18, 16, if there is no God, I had no purpose, period. Because my unhealthiness was genetically transferred. Obviously, it was a huge, much more severe than anything my parents had. Mm-hmm. But it was a genetically transferred disease. And if your only purpose is to reproduce and better the species, then I should not be one of those people.
Because look what you might do.
That's what I would likely do.
Yeah.
Because girls are rather attractive. I don't know if you guys noticed that. Yeah, seriously.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I kind of like him too. Actually.
Yeah. So anyway.
I thought he was different.
Yeah. So I should not reproduce. If you go by what they're taught in school, which is Darwinism, which is that we are here by chance, it is a fluke of the universe that we exist at all.
Right.
And therefore, not only are we an accident, we are also a blight on the world, if you listen to some people.
Well, yeah, but all the problems that the Earth has
Are
caused by humans. We know that.
That's what we're told. So I came to that point in my life, and my dad was an agnostic and went to MIT, and he was the one I looked up to, and he didn't really believe in God. And the school was telling me there was no God. So if there is no God, and all I have to look forward to is suffering, and all my entire purpose for existence, according to that model, I don't have that purpose. It is more logical to end my life now. It is just fundamentally logical.
It's a good thing you're not in Belgium. Assisted suicide is legal at any age in Belgium.
Right.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah, I would have been gone.
Wow, that's
Any
interesting.
age, just since the last 4 months, 6 months.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Oh, yeah.
But it was only by the grace of God that I said, well, if there isn't a God, I have no purpose, and I started seeking him. And he was very patient with me and led me along the road till I became a Christian. But if you go by that materialistic, humanistic Darwinism, then the question of personhood is up for grabs. It absolutely is up for grabs because your only purpose is to reproduce the species and to take calls.
Yes, we have a call. Hi, welcome to Rock, Paper, Hand Grenades. Who's on the line?
Then the question...
Hello?
Hello?
Hi, you're on the air.
Yeah, I just had a few questions about the Darwinism and the gentleman that's on tonight.
Yes.
Hey, this is Tim from Manchester.
Hi, Tim.
You got any questions, Tim, on Darwinism or anything?
How you doing? Yeah, I just had a few questions. I'm a God-fearing man. I grew up an Irish Catholic, but you got to look at the facts. You know what I'm saying?
Go ahead.
You really just got to look at the facts of it. You know, the Big Bang, boom. You know, it's all we're here. No, I disagree. You know.
Hey, Tim.
Wait. Well, let him get to a question.
Let me he just gave me. Just I got to ask you this, right? The Big Bang, right? Everything was compressed up into a little practically nothing, and then it all exploded. Is that it? That's the Big Bang, yes?
No, you know what? I'm not even specifying the Big Bang. I'm just saying.
You just said that.
Okay.
If you look at the facts of evolution, that makes more sense to me than on the third day he rose again and yada yada yada. That's all I'm saying.
Okay, Tim. I get the gist of it. I'll take the. I'll answer it off the air there.
Okay, thanks, Tim.
Thanks, Tim. All right. So anyway, his idea is that Darwinism makes sense, and I understand that if you've been programmed to accept Darwinism since the age of from Sesame Street on, you would believe that because that's what you're told. But I want you to look at the fundamental principles behind Darwinism. The fundamental principle behind Darwinism is that a single-celled creature, we are all evolved from a single-celled creature, period. That has to be the case. All right? If that's the case, let's look at an amoeba. An amoeba is a single-celled creature that theoretically everything could have been evolved out from. An amoeba, the genetic code inside the amoeba, if you take that and stretch that out, the code alone, I believe, is 320 to 600 billion characters long. That's far more complicated than your Windows operating system. So you have this 300 billion line code just for the DNA, so that it can reproduce itself. You have the outside membrane, which is obviously of a specific material so that it can contain the body of that amoeba. And that's very special because it not only is retains all the inside workings of that amoeba, It also has a membrane that accepts food and rejects things that are not food or are dangerous to the amoeba. It has, in the genome, it also has what's called epigenomes, which tell the different sequences when they should and shouldn't start. It has little actually mechanical, you look at it more like mechanical, and has all these mechanical functions inside this amoeba so that it can live. So if you were, the analogy I use, because we were taught in school that lightning struck a primordial ooze and the first form of life started on the planet, and that evolved into everything else. That single-cell creature is so profoundly complicated that it would be like lightning striking a primordial ooze and an F-15 fighter jet
Coming out of it.
But not only did the F-15 pop out of it, that F-15 can reproduce itself and feed itself and has self-determination. Or I don't know if that's the right word, but it wants to live. So they don't teach you that in school. They also, in Darwinism, they talk about things evolving. But if they'll show you. I'm going to use up too much time, so I'll just cut a couple. I looked at a high school book on theory of evolution very recently at a high school textbook.
Mm-hmm.
In that, because remember, they have to have all these evidences. If you have creature A that evolved into horses and evolved into giraffes,
Trees,
and all these different creatures, there has to be all kinds of remnants or bones of all the creatures in between. In fact, there would be more evidence of the creatures in between the two extremes than there would be of the extremes themselves.
Yeah.
Okay, but they knew that was a problem, so what they did is invent punctuated equilibrium, which meant that for some reason evolution worked like during the Cambrian explosion, something happened in nature where everything was created. And that's a really good explanation because it doesn't require any evidence. And that's because they don't have any evidence. So you went from a single-cell creatures at the bottom of the evolution scale to all of a sudden everything evolved, or not everything, but a huge quantity of creatures just magically appeared in a historical sense within a split second.
Can I have 1 minute to talk about this?
Yeah.
All right. You talk about facts, Tim, and so I'd like to ask you to satisfy for yourself the answers to a couple of these questions. Right? One of them is the one Gary was getting at about kinds of things. Evolution says that things change from one kind to another, so that, for example, a chicken could turn into a human. I want you to find out for yourself any example, any proven example, any fact of something changing from one kind to another kind. Question number 2. Life has to start from somewhere. In the beginning of the Big Bang and all of that type of thing, there is no life.
There's nothing.
So, if you're going to believe in evolution, you have to believe in what's called abiogenesis, life from non-life. I would like you to find any example, anywhere at all, of abiogenesis. If you can find that, you have a very strong supporting fact. If you can't, I have an alternative answer that does not require, well, it does require, but does not require abiogenesis. So that's just a couple of things, and believe me, the idea of complexity and irreducible complexity that Gary was getting at, that's another whole story. It's another whole. Darwin thought the fossil record would support him. It never, ever has, because they haven't ever been able to find something that they could show by fossil tracing went from one thing to another. Never found it.
Yeah, the only thing Darwin ever actually found and proved, and I don't think anybody disputes it or argues about it, was called macroevolution. Or micro? I'm thinking micro.
Well, he saw changes within species.
Yeah, so he saw a bird that its beak would alter depending on where it was. Like on one island, it would be shaped a certain way because the soil was very rocky and it was more difficult for them to get the bugs out of between the rocks. And on another island, say 100 miles away, where it was softer, the beaks were blunter. So that's called microevolution, and everybody agrees with that. But what happens is, if you take any of those birds over a period of time, they will revert back to what they were originally,
Right.
because they don't need that slight deviation to compensate for their environment.
And they're still the same kind. They're still
they
both
haven't
birds.
changed.
In his case, they're still finches.
Yeah, still finches, but they never changed from being a finch. They just their beaks changed, and that's where he extrapolated everything else.
But we are at a place today where we can almost change kinds. We can almost do this through biomedicine.
Yes.
That's why this business of chimeras, where they're crossing animals and humans, is a real problem.
It's scary. It's
Right.
not.
But you know who leads the way on law in that is Germany. Germany, they take this very seriously.
Yeah,
over
because
there.
of the Holocaust.
That's right. So they don't want they led the.
It's interesting.
Well, yeah, they know what it's like to see human experimentation.
Right.
Within there, but we're allowing this, right? Just like this glowing embryo that we saw. I guess maybe it's still an embryo, right? Had to kill it after 14 days because we can't allow that human experiment. What's going to grow up to be a human? It is a human when it starts out, right? So we tweak it a little bit. Now we can't let it grow up because that would cause us a real problem. So we're doing human experimentation on very young human beings right now, and we're allowing that, and we have no laws in New Hampshire to stop it.
We have nothing.
Nothing.
None in the country. And if you got people
Well,
like,
there's some in the country. Some states have outlawed certain types of things already.
oh, they have.
Yes.
Okay.
We're just like normal, behind the curve. So,
We're back on talking about women again. I like that. It's a good place to end it. So,
I'm not even sure what that.
we got the women off of that. Anything that has a curve is a woman, I guess.
Oh, is that what it is? Is that
I think
the
that was
leap?
the point of that.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
now
All
I
right.
get it.
All
Now I
right.
get it.
I wasn't.
Well, we
talking-
only got like a minute left, so geez,
All right, so
we
this
could
is it.
spend hours.
We're New Hampshire Right to Life.
Yes.
We advocate for all of these things and many more. We have a website, www.nhrtl.org. Come to the March for Life in Concord, Saturday, 11:30 at the State House, 9 o'clock, memorial service at the landfill, 10 o'clock, Mass at St. John's if you're so inclined for those events. Come to the time afterwards, get Dan Becker's book, Personhood, and see how we think we should be moving our agenda forward, and talks about some of these issues that we talked about today.
Yeah, Tim and
Free, everything's free.
Yeah, Tim, if you're really curious and stuff, come on to the march. Come this Saturday to the State House and talk, because I love talking about this stuff. But I just didn't want to get sucked into, because you could argue this back and forth for quite a while. So I didn't mean to shut you off, dude. Thank you for calling, and we'll see you. What do I got going on next week, Matt?
I don't know. What have you got? Well, you at one point were under the impression that January was like Right to Life month. So I think you have something related to this next week
So
as
you
well.
got
What a
a
coincidence.
pregnancy center? You got CareNet coming over? Or,
CareNet came last week.
They already
They did come
did,
last
yeah.
week.
Yeah, next week I think is Karen Testament.
Oh, okay.
That'd be good.
I believe so, but I don't know because I got brain damage.
I like Karen. I don't agree
She's
with
a one.
her a lot, but I like her.
But she is a nice lady.
Yeah, she's a good person.
And next week I'll find out how we do on GMOs. Hey, speaking of perverted things that the scientists can do now, genetically modified organisms are being debated next week on the House floor. Call your state rep and say, I want labeling
Yes.
of GMOs. Because the Free Staters and those people believe that there should be no restrictions on anything.
You're going to get labeled a rhino again?
Oh,
You're going to be on a roll.
Yes! But anyway, GMOs are coming up next week. Do you have a right to know? Do you have a right to know if your food has been genetically modified? I think you do. I'm going to
agree.
vote for it.
Good.
And we'll see you guys next week. Thank you very much.
Bye, everybody.